Hy sal ek weet nie, hy sal altyd kritiek kry. Maar yes, as jy gaan kyk na die reality, dan sê jy sien baie van ons spelskepping word gedoen deur Willie.
Jacques, daar is altyd die vraag onder die publiek, wanneer bring mense die jong manne in? Ek weet jy het dit baie duidelik gestel, julle het panne in plek. My vraag is net, gaan julle probeer om maar jong manne in te bring, speeltyd te gee voor ons Nieu-Seeland face?
Ja, ek dink om jong spelers in te kry is altyd 'n balans. Ek dink daar's twee goed wat jy probeer balanseer. Jy probeer momentum balanseer en hoe kry jy momentum? Jy kry momentum deur te wen, deur goeie performances op te sit. En ek dink is baie maklik as die span goed gaan en daar's baie confidence in die span om iemand nuuts in te bring. Ek dink is baie moeilik as dit nie goed gaan nie en daar's nie confidence in die span nie en nou bring jy 'n nuwe ou in en so dit is die een ding wat jy graag wil hê en dan uit die aard van die saak as jy nuwe ouens inbring dan kry jy 'n bietjie dan kry jy 'n bietjie vernuwing, jy kry 'n bietjie energie van hulle kant af. So ek dink dis die twee goed wat ons probeer balanseer. Ons probeer kreatiwiteit kry in ons squad, maar ons wil ook momentum behou. So en dis maar 'n fyn balans en ek sê nie ons het altyd die antwoorde daarop nie, maar ons probeer altyd daarna kyk om daai balans te handhaaf.
Guys, we've got about 5 minutes left. Any Afrikaans questions? None? Okay, we can use the 5 minutes for English then. Any other English questions?
Jacques, you mentioned Wales got quite experienced, but in the front row, with a few injuries, they're quite inexperienced, especially if Thomas Francis doesn't play and a tight head. Is that something you look to exploit with your power there in the front row?
Yeah, I think look, if you look at and I know there might be a couple of new props in for Wales, but I think if you look at our previous Test match, it was always a tight affair there. We are very fortunate with the front rows and the front row that we have here, or the three. I think we've got 3+1 front rows here, and we're fortunate to have them. But the key thing is, I think we can't play on the reputation. You know, it's a new season, it's a new test. It's our first test at home in front of a crowd. So the worst thing we can do is to try and think our reputation is going to carry us through that test match in terms of the front row. They have to work hard in the week. They have to make sure that they are accurate when it comes to Saturday. Yeah, so it's obviously it's something that we will have to start building from scratch again.
Hi Jack, you mentioned the benefits of the URC, meaning, well, I guess you've seen a lot more of the Wales players, but they haven't had much luck out here. They've won 0 games in South Africa, won 2 out of 16 against the South African team. Do you expect that club form to have any influence on international level?
Like I say, I think if I take you back to 2019 when we won the World Cup, not one of our club teams got past the quarterfinal in Super Rugby. So I think, but then people will also say in 2007 when we won a World Cup, we had 2 teams in the final. So I think it's tough to say if club performance will transform or flow over into international performance. Personally, I don't think so. Because it's international rugby for a reason and club rugby for a reason. So I don't see it having any bearing going into the international season. Because again, like 2019, the Jaguares from Argentina played in the final against the Crusaders. And if that is the fact that, listen, club performance directly directly relate to performance on international level, then Argentina must have been in the final of the World Cup. So no, I don't think it has any bearing. Obviously, they would have had experience here. Yeah, so no.
Guys, we started a little early and we've literally got 1 minute left. So unless there's one last question, I think we can wrap things up.
Hi Coach, it's Morgan from the Star. I'm just wondering about the Japanese-based players. They haven't played in a long time. Alton Yankees, Malcolm Marx. Faf has just come over, but you get the general gist. How have you kept them? You've obviously got confidence in their abilities, you've selected them, but how have you kept them firstly match fit and also contact ready for a test match?
Yeah, that will always be the challenge if you don't have the players early. You know, luckily the Japan-based players were part of our preparation camp from the start. You know, and we try and mimic test match intensity as much as possible. But you'll never create it in training sessions. It's a different beast when it comes to the game itself. And I think it's probably, if you look at it, it's probably if you have a long pre-season before you go into a club season, I mean, it's literally that. You've done as much as possible to make them as contact ready as possible and as conditioned and physically ready for a test match as possible. But nothing will ever substitute playing games. So yes, it is something that we. I think the same will equate to Wales. You know, they haven't been exposed. Luckily, we've had some guys that have been exposed to URC final just 2 weeks ago. Andre to a final Friday night. So and that's why I say we try to pick the balance where there is some players who haven't been exposed to rugby for a long time, just training sessions, but also players that have had exposure to club rugby recently. So we try to get the balance of that.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Job. Thanks, Salman. Yes, and we'll be sending out the recording, but much later for those who cannot be here. But thank you for being here. It's been lovely. Have a great afternoon.